Ex-inmates of Reddit. What was the stupidest thing you've seen a new inmate do on his first day in prison? Reach across someone's food. One guy bragging about what he did to get himself in jail. Other dude showering barefoot. Great way to get convicted. Great way to get jungle fungus. A slight twist. We had a pink wet floor sign that we would put up in the entrance to the showers. So everyone knew there was someone in there jerking off. The fun game was to watch the new guys, myself included, innocently walk into the entrance to the showers that very first time, past the pink wet floor sign, and then see him come skittering back out a few moments later. Know me. A close friend was locked up in jail, but they kept moving him around. So for 3 days he didn't get a chance to shower. When they did finally put him in a prison, it was too late to shower. First thing in the morning he was standing at the door of his shared cell waiting with a towel to go shower. He was first one in. Stripped off and started scrubbing himself. He could sense the other inmates getting in the showers around him but realized no one was using the shower heads next to him. Plus there was a queue at the door. That's when he noticed he was the only one naked. Everyone else kept their boxer shorts on. He just muttered sorry chaps and got out ASAP. Call his grandma and just cuss her out and talk her like dog shit because she didn't want to put her house up for collateral to bail him out. Goofy looking kid, curly hair, thick glasses. He comes in and for some reason he befriends me. He starts telling me what he did. Sexual assault if a minor. I told him not to be telling nobody that shit because it'll get you in trouble. The rest of that day and the next. I bailed out by then. I could hear him from across the hall telling other people. Not surprised if he's been kicked around a few times. Not wearing shower shoes in the shower. Gross. That's where everyone jacks off and comes all over the floor, not to mention W.E. disease they've got. Kid gets booked in, hits the unit and starts borrowing food and other commissary items. Before he knew it he was $200 in the hole. Problem is, in jail and prison, most people who are willing to loan items out expect 2 or 3 of the same item back. Ya know. Interest. Very easy way to get yourself indebted is by borrowing any food or other items. Never get in debt while incarcerated. Where I was in prison they utilized 40mm soft round launchers to respond to group disturbances. Let me tell you, they weren't soft. Kid comes in thinking he's still hardcore from juvenile hall because guards there didn't do anything when people fought. Decided to up and join a gang that he knew nothing about on his first day. Thought he was tough and started to diss the gang they had high tensions with at the time. And started a group disturbance. COs respond. Tell him to get down. He refuses and curses at them. Boom, 40mm to his face. Was an accidental shot to the face according to the CO. Face was distorted as hell after. Fractured skull. On his first day. Tell literally everyone how he was going to escape. And showed off all the tools he was using. Father-in-law did 12 years on a second-degree murder rap back in the very early 90s. He told me that one time this new guy plopped himself down at the Hells Angels table and started eating breakfast. When he was told to move, he ignored them. After breakfast, the COs ended up having to cut through about 6 rolls of duct tape to get the guy loose. He never sat near the Has again. There was an old myth that if you challenged the meanest guy in your block to a fight everyone else would leave you alone. It's true. No one will torment you if you are dead. Kid tried it and got dropped off the 5th tier. First day in Gen Pop. Last day in Gen Pop. Most guys just want to do their time alone. Most rape and violence in prison is about debt or tax. If you play it straight 98% of guys will just leave you alone. Fucking someone up on the yard makes your time worse. Not better. Loss of privilege. Of time in solitary. Most people don't want that. Most of the straight-up psychopaths are in 23/1 lockdown anyway. You get in debt or shoot your mouth off and you will get settled or taxed. Both are to be avoided. Not shower. For weeks. He got his clothes ripped up and he was thrown half naked into the showers. They also tuned him up pretty good. Excuse me, sir, there seems to be a mistake. I'm supposed to be getting out of prison today. This weird guy named Robert from the TV show 60 Days In has a couple stories that could be in this thread. The stupidest may have been when he covered the prison camera with a sheet. Went to solitary 30 days. He quit the program halfway. When the skinny little street thug white kid walked across the yard and threw a my N*** at a bench full of full-blown Crips. Didn't see him much after that shitstorm. Skinny kid. Hippie type got busted with some weed. Someone else on the range was getting beat up for something or other and the kid tried to intervene. Just said, "Hey, leave him alone." Got beat to within an inch of his life in the shower. Pro tip. In jail, mind your own business. Told a kid there was a pool out at yard. Guard saw him waiting to go out in shorts with his shower towel and asked him what he was doing. Kid said, "I'm gonna go swimming outside, it looks nice." Don't think I've laughed so hard in my life. It's unoriginal but always funny. Went in when I was a young idiot. Our pod was all bunk beds. No cells. Just the room with beds. And a side room with the TV. It was a unit for all the people working the same job. New guy comes in. Little white dude. Quiet and kept to himself. Until one night, out of nowhere he starts sprinting around the room singing at the top of his lungs in the tune of Black Sabbath's Iron Man. But changed the lyrics to, "I am the N-word man, running through the hood from the Ku Klux Klan." Everyone was just kind of frozen for about 15 seconds, seriously confused. Then someone tripped him and then it was just mayhem until the CO could get enough help to disperse the crowd. I remember being surprised he survived. Everyone in the unit had steel-toe boots for the job we did. Holding them and hitting him in with them instead of wearing and kicking. The scene afterwards where all the guys are trying to figure out whose boots are whose. And comparing whose had the most blood was freaking surreal. Eat the candy bar found on his pillow. Admit that he was in for sexual assault and being a pedo. And then it was about 8 p.m. and we found out he was a chronic masturbator and he would not stop jacking off in his bunk. He was 22. And it was jail, not prison. So at that moment, we had maybe 12 to 15 people in our cell. Some guy woke up from a nap and thought he was having a seizure, so he went to go check on him. What a goddamn shock they both had. Edit. Spelling and grammar. Not an ex-inmate, but an ex-CO. Dude came in on drug charges. First thing he does upon walking into the pod is announce loudly enough that I could hear, that he got drugs past the dipshits in intake. Yeah. Not the brightest bulb. That one. Lol. Worked as a corrections officer. Guy got busted for sexual assault of a minor. Figured everyone else in the tank was on similar charges so began talking openly about it, feeling he was safe. We had to subdue 5 guys who jumped him in the rec yard. Guy was sent to the hospital as he was fairly unresponsive. He was sent to protective custody after that. Got busted for smoking weed with 2 buddies. When we put in the holding cell, one of them wanted mark the event by carving his name in the paint on the cell door. When we got put in a cell later, they came back and took him to solitary for a week. Kid came in and I assume he has watched a lot of movies cause he figured he'd fight the biggest guy on the range. Lol. He wasn't even the toughest guy in the hospital he woke up in. So my dad's currently convicted and the craziest story he's told me is one of the newer inmates was young and arrogant. Always spouting off bullshit about how unaccountable he was. Then one day, another inmate packed up his items. Went into the younger inmate's cell and tried to strangle him. The younger inmate was that fucking annoying. He survived. The attempted murderer is in Max, and when the younger inmate came back from the hospital he was still spouting bullshit. Guy came in, got on the top bunk, within 10 minutes dude rolled off it and smacked his head on the concrete. Started to have a seizure. Guards eventually came and just videotaped him for a while in the middle of the room. Eventually they walked him out when he stopped, but then he ran into the wall and fell down, then started to seizure again. They just kept filming. Nobody really thought he was having seizures, but he hit his head pretty bad so they took him to the infirmary. This idiot walked right into a Mexican gang meeting and almost got beaten up. Source. Am the idiot. Edit. I was in jail, not prison. My mistake. Again, am idiot. Second edit. Since many people are asking. From what I understand, the difference between prison and jail is this. Jail is for sentences of less than a year, whereas prison is for sentences of over a year, varying from state to state. Jails is run by the city or county. Prisons ran by state or federal government. You can go to jail to await your trial before sentencing, then after be sent back to jail or to prison depending on how long and whether it's a felony or not. Prison is for felonies. This may not have been his first day, but I will never forget this. This while I was in the intake tank, which is the first tank or section you go into after being processed in county. This young kid comes into county and keeps complaining that he doesn't get his cannabinol and other marijuana-related prescriptions in jail. He was really arrogant and constant pissing everyone off. During count one day as we were all in our bunks he starts complaining again and then says to the guard, "What if we all riot?" Immediately like 10 other guys yell very loudly, "We don't know," or agree with him. The guard then says, "What the fuck did you say?" The kid then continues about rioting and that he has rights. Everyone in the tank fucking stays like frozen in their bunk, trying their best to be non-threatening and also show they have no interest in what this moron is saying. So the guard picks him up by his throat and slams him into the wall. After scaring the kid shitless, he explains he has a new charge for inciting a riot. Kid gets hauled off to solitary. Never saw him again. But I heard he spent the rest of his 30, 60, 90 whatever amount days in solitary. Absolutely insane to me that he'd say that in a fucking county jail. Obligatory, not me, but I know a guy. And his cellmate was a young 19-year-old kid. The kid was confused and in the course of talking about their lives admitted he was bi. The guy the first no told him, "Hey man, that's cool, but don't tell that to anyone else in here, seriously."